name is Laci Ferno, driver for Team Stang Racing, and this is the Fan View podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fansview podcast. This week, my guest is a 20-year-old open-wheel race car driver from Mooresville, North Carolina, who's quickly making a name for herself. I want to thank her so much for taking the time out of her busy schedule to come on the show. Laci Ferno. Laci, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy that you can make the time to come on tonight.
Yeah, of course. I love doing these, so I always think they're super fun.
So we're just gonna jump into it. Obviously you're 20 years old, but you've already been racing for almost 7 years, I believe. 2018, is that right?
Yeah, I started racing when I was 14, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt like an old lady because everyone else had raced since they were like 4, and I was like, oh my god, y'all raced 10 years longer than me. This is insane. But yeah, I started off in intermediate outlaw karts at Millbridge, and then I did those for about pretty much 2 years. It was kind of weird. I started like July and then ran a full season after that. But yeah, I started off at intermediates, then I raced opens, and then did the micros and midget stuff.
Awesome. So what got you into motorsports originally?
Yeah, so my dad, he's worked in racing my whole life, and I always thought my dad was way cooler than everyone else's dad because he worked in racing. So I got really into it through him. And then the team he's with, they used to have Larson as a driver, and I thought Kyle was like the coolest person ever when I was younger. So I kind of copied Kyle and got into the dirt route. So that got me super interested in like outlaw cars because I didn't even know those really existed until I started following Kyle's racing stuff. So yeah, that really got me more pushed towards the dirt route and got me started.
So obviously I see that you're a regular at Millbridge. Would you consider that kind of be your home track, maybe your favorite track, or is there another track that comes to mind?
Yeah, I haven't raced Millbridge in a little bit, but I haven't really raced it a little bit anyway. But I would definitely say that's my home track because I would say 95% of the races I've ran have been at Millbridge.
So I know you said you're mostly primarily in the dirt. Is the Chili Bowl like one of those things that's on like the bucket list, on your big board of things you want to get accomplished?
100%. I want to run the Chili Bowl at least once. I went to it 2 years ago, or gosh, that might have been 3 years ago. Oh my god, 2 years ago? 2023. Yeah, 2 years ago. I can't do math, dear God. But yeah, it was 2 years ago, and then I did my midget announcement, and it was just such a fun week. It's crazy how many people are there. Like, I mean, you see it on TV, and like it's like an amazing event, but then you get there and you really see like all like the work, the grind, all the people, and it's just an amazing atmosphere to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely on my bucket list as a fan to get down there one of these days. Obviously, getting back to Millbridge, can you talk a little bit what it was like actually winning at Millbridge in only your 14th career start?
Yeah, no, that was an outlaw kart. So like I said, I started racing in July of 2018 and zero racing experience ever. I raced Eldora in like a 360. So like, I really thought I was something, but like, I did not know what I was doing. And I did that and I picked it up pretty quick because Millbridge is a wide open track. So I didn't have to worry too much about throttle control at first. So it was more comfortable, get used to it. And once I figured that out, I was good to go. So I think it probably would have been like my 10th start ever. It's when they did the first ever KKM race. And that's back when it was with opens, which makes me feel really old. But it used to be for opens at Millbridge. And I was an intermediate, and then I ended up being second that night. And that was kind of really when I realized I was like, okay, I can do this. We're good to go. And then I don't think I had another race after that until the race before I won my first race. And I was really fast that day. But I was stupid and I jumped the start too many times and they moved me back. So that didn't help. The next week I did jump the start and then I won that race. And I was so excited. I thought I was like the coolest person alive. So yeah, that was definitely a fun one.
Can you talk about a little bit of getting success that early is great, but it could also be a detriment because it almost seems like maybe it comes that easy and you quickly realize after that that's not the case. Is that kind of what you found, or did it just make you hungry to win another one?
Made me want to win more. I think that was my first full year in racing was 2019. and I ended up winning, I think, 9 races that year. But it was also an intermediate, which is a lot different than opens, which is a whole different ball game than micros, which is a different stratosphere than midgets. It's
Right.
definitely, I think it helped with my confidence, which I think confidence is like everything in racing. Because if you're not, especially in dirt, because you have to expect everything to happen. If you're not
Yeah.
confident, you're gonna expect the wrong stuff, and this bad stuff's gonna happen. So I think it definitely helped with my confidence overall. But I think it helped with opens. Like when I got an open, I was 100% comfortable. I was ready to go. And then when I got in a micro, I felt like it didn't drive too much to my outlaw car. But when I got in a midget, it felt just like my outlaw car, and that made me feel 10 times better than when I raced my micro.
Right. So, who you said obviously you mentioned Larson. Who are some of your drivers that you kind of looked at, maybe wanting to emulate or enjoy watching? Like, who are you a fan of?
I definitely like Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's always been one of my favorite drivers, and I like Ross. Ross is really cool. I love his personality. I just like how he doesn't care. Like he's just so like I think he's great. So I love Ross. I'm trying to think. I have a lot of dirt people. I'm literally just blanking out right now, which is kind of bad. There was, oh my goodness, what was that guy's name? There was one guy I used to watch that I used to follow on everything and like thought was the best dirt sprint car driver. But I am like, it really shows because I can't remember what his name is. I really followed him a lot. I can't remember.
No, I'm putting you on the spot. We'll give
No,
you a
it's
pass
okay.
on
I'm so
that.
scatterbrained. No, it's okay. Oh my god, Jack Honshield. That's who it was. I'm just
Okay.
dumb. Yeah, that was probably my biggest guy for a long time.
Okay. Is so I mean I noticed you talk, Larson and Ross are both cup drivers. Is asphalt, is pavement something that you're working towards, or are you kind of happy where you're at on the dirt?
Both honestly, just with my dad, he's been in like the NASCAR world forever. So I definitely grew up way more around. I never went to a dirt race until like probably a month before I started racing dirt. So I definitely grew up in asphalt racing. So I think I definitely want to race asphalt at least once in my life and hopefully go running more and more in the coming years. And but I would definitely would become like Kyle Larson to be able to do both and be successful in both.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I saw recently you were associated, I believe it was last year, correct me if I'm wrong, with Abacus Racing, who were actively trying to put together an all women's team. I'd love to ask you because I've had a lot of female racers on, and I'd love to know your thoughts on all female race teams in general. Some drivers don't like that moniker of being a female driver. They just want to be a driver. What are your thoughts on all female race teams?
No, yeah, I definitely I think they have their pros and their cons, you know. I think with it definitely depends on the personality of the girl driver. I think if they've grown up in a world where they're just around it all the time, they're more used to it, but it also comes into play of if you're used to like people I hate to say it, but like kind of being like mean to you. But if you can take it, I think it's better to learn how to take it than to try to avoid it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it definitely has its benefits though. It definitely gives a lot of girls different opportunities that they might not have been able to get without it. But it also, I feel like if you're gonna be successful, you need to learn how to be around men.
yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, it's a male-dominated sport, right?
Yeah,
At the moment, at least. So we talked a little bit about you being 7 years in. You've won a race. What are your plans looking like for 2025? We're a couple weeks in now. What's on the docket for you?
yeah, so the plans aren't official yet. We're still working on them, but they're looking pretty good. I have teamed up with Team Stang Racing, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff this year. So I'm definitely excited about that. And yeah, to be announced, to be announced.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess we'll go away from the plans right now because those are still simmering and cooking. But do you have any tangible goals this year that you want to accomplish that you want to check off the list?
No, yeah, I definitely my biggest goal is definitely getting back on track. You know, after I raced a midget in 2023, I had some stuff lined up for 2024, but it just didn't end up working out, which that happens. That's just how the sport is. But
Yeah.
you know, I definitely didn't let it discourage me. I've been still working in sponsors. A lot of people are like, "Oh my god, girl," but I'm still going. I got like I started working a job that was like I still work it, but it's like this regional coffee bar, but so many businesses come through in and out. It's literally how I meet people and I talk to people for sponsors. So I started working there, and then I also do all the marketing with through LinkedIn and all that stuff. So I definitely been grinding. A lot of people think I quit, but I haven't. this year I'm excited to show everyone I haven't stopped and
There you
hey,
go.
back on track, and we're gonna be competitive and win races.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because obviously when I was researching you, and I'm glad you could come on here on the podcast and let people know, like, hey, you're ready to roll this year. But when I was researching you, I noticed like you're a LinkedIn, you have a LinkedIn page, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, like you're out here hustling. Can you talk about what it's like at the level that you're at? Because obviously, and we'll use Kyle again because obviously he's a favorite of yours. Kyle isn't out there really hustling anymore. The sponsors are coming to him. But can you talk about at your level of racing, what all goes into it? It's not just driving, obviously.
No, yeah, I definitely learned at a young age, like, it's definitely a sponsor game, and you have to be talented, but you also have to be marketable. And I knew, like, if I wanted to progress out of Outlaw cards, I need to learn how to get sponsors. So I made my first sponsor deck when I was 15, started trying to get sponsors to move up into different series. And one of my first sponsors I got off that horrendous deck was Lucas Oil, and I still thank them every day. I'm like, oh my goodness, y'all saw something that I do not see in that deck because that deck is scary. But yeah, they without Lucas Oil, I would not have been able to move up like I did. So they definitely got my career rolling. And then I realized I was like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just some random person that races in North Carolina. There's a million of us. I need to find a way to stand out. And I learned how to, this is probably peak COVID at this point. So TikTok was really getting big. So I started watching like how other creators were getting big on TikTok and taking the videos they were making and making them racing themed. And I was able to grow 10K followers in a month off TikTok when I was really like hustling. Yeah. And now I haven't posted as much on TikTok in the last about year just because I don't like reusing content. I did it for a long time because it works, but I feel like it gets like you don't have as many genuine people watching your stuff. It's more like bots watching it. So I
Right.
wanted to be able to build a more genuine following. So I'm kind of letting the bots weed itself out a little bit before I get pushing more. But yeah, I definitely learned how to do all the social media stuff. I went to all those events. I went to Women Would Drive, PRI, all that stuff, and work my job where I'm literally like, if I'm on window, I'm like, oh, what do you do for work? Oh, you own a company? Oh, hey, girl. So yeah, any possible way to get a sponsor, I have probably tried it. And I remember like, what was one thing I did? I went to Women Would Drive, and one of the company people, like a marketing person for a company they had there, was doing this panel, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of hard for us to talk to drivers individually now. We really like to talk to people through an agency. And I was like, I'm not paying
Right.
for an agency. So I did what a rational person did. I made my own agency. That's what Slide Job is. So I made
Love
Slide
it.
Job, and then I started reaching out to people through Slide Job, and that helped me some too. But I feel like people really like when it's coming directly from you and being able to connect with you on that level, because not a lot of drivers do it because it is hard. Like you have to like commit time to it. I mean, I have a associate's degree in like motorsports, which is like it's
Wow.
yeah, so I've learned a lot of little intricate things that not a lot of people know unless they have gone to like college, and also just doing marketing since I was
Right.
15 years old. So it's definitely a game. Like at the end of the day, I'm still some random person in North Carolina that doesn't race at a super high level. So it's kind of hard to be like, hey, I can really get that return. But now that I've teamed up with Team Stang, they have all the amazing connections, and they are able to also help promote me and help me with my weak areas. So we're definitely going to have some good stuff cooking this year.
That is awesome. I mean, yeah, don't sell yourself short because trust me, you stand out. You're not just one in a million, trust me. To build off that, again in my research, I did see that you have a charitable organization called Rippin' for a Cure. Can you talk a little bit about, what that is and what its goal is?
Yeah, so Rippin', I definitely need to work on it more. I am a very scatterbrained person. You can probably find that out 5 seconds into me talking. So I need to focus on it more. But so I wanted to race my entire life. Kind of an off-topic story. But my mom, she didn't want me to race it. She just thought it was kind of dangerous. And like my dad was in it, and she's just like, I want you to not just copy your dad. You need to find your own passions, your own hobbies. And I was like, I want to copy my dad. But anyway, so in 2017, heart disease runs all throughout my family, especially on my dad's side. And in 2017, he had a heart attack. He had a widowmaker, which is like a really fatal type of heart attack. And he was able to survive it and still live. And but those are very like bad heart attacks. And I think
Yeah, I think it's like a 97% morbidity rate, I believe. Yeah, that's wow.
yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, when that happened, my mom was like, okay, like I'm a very scatterbrained person, like I said, and I pick up a hobby and I'm over in 2 days. Like, okay, it'll probably just be like that. She'll be over in a month. It'll be fine, good to go. And here we are, 7 years later. Once I started racing, I was like, I definitely want to do something to kind of promote heart disease because it's a lot of people don't realize this. It is the biggest killer in the majority of people in the world. So I wanted to be able to promote racing, especially with it being such a high stress, like high pressure environment. It's big in heart disease, heart attacks are big in racing. So I want to be able to promote that and kind of help just people learn more about it because even though it is so big, not a lot of people know too much about it. So I started ripping in 2021 and I've done a bunch of little random things for it. I need to spend more time on it because I'm just scatterbrained. It's me just being scatterbrained. But I remember my senior year in high school, I did a event at my school where I taught K through eighth graders about heart disease and like how to like prevent it, and then we play like little fun games. I found these little race cars shaped like hearts. So I've done little fun events like that before, and yeah, it's the biggest goal is to just help raise awareness in the community. And I want to grow Ripon to the point where it's raising awareness and also helping grassroots racers kind of grow their brand because I love helping people learn how to be able to market themselves and push themselves to the next level even though they feel like it's impossible. So I definitely want to kind of integrate that into it and be able to raise heart disease through them as they grow too, not just with me.
Okay, well that is awesome. I mean, that really, really, really cool. Is there somewhere where people can like check that out, or is it kind of not up and running right now?
Yeah, it has it's on all social media platforms. It's just at Rippin for a Cure, like RIPPIN for a Cure. And right now, if you go on my personal website, just laciferno.com, it has a little subcategory on my website. But once we get more running and have like merch and all that kind of fun stuff, I'm gonna make its own website so it's a separate thing. So it's not just like Laci and Rippin. It's its own deal.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely in the description of the YouTube video, we're gonna put your website down there so people can definitely check that out. So, Laci, you're gonna be my guinea pig today because we're gonna debut a new segment. I think we're gonna call it the fan's eye view. I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm gonna show everybody a picture, and I just want you to tell us the story behind the picture, maybe if that makes sense. So, barring any technical difficulties, let's try to do this. There we go. And for the people listening, it is Laci in front of her. Which kind of car is that, Laci?
An open outlaw cart.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, can you tell us what's going on here? Can you give us the story behind this picture?
Yeah, so that's a victory lane photo, and if you kind of noticed, that was the first picture I posted of that win, and the caption is just like looking forward to tonight. And the reason I didn't post this was technically my first ever open win, but the reason I didn't post it as like we got to win tonight, blah blah blah, is because I was one of the I don't even remember how many carts it was, but I was one of the faster carts. I'm not saying I ran bad, but every other cart broke and they cut the race, and I led the one lap. I was the only cart left, so kind of a fun
Hey,
story.
hey, we're gonna take that. I love that. That is what a debut of this segment. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's why it's like I never post like we got the win tonight. I was like I can't. I don't care if
Hey,
I can't.
hey, by hook or by crook, now we're gonna take it. A win's a win.
Yeah.
So now moving on to the fans view portion of this. I always love to ask every guest the same thing because I feel like it really gives people, kind of a view of who you are as a person, not just as a race car driver. What's a piece of advice, maybe, and it's kind of cliche to be like, what's your favorite piece of advice? That's so broad. But is there like a piece of advice that really resonates with you, or maybe you try to implement in your everyday life that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like I've definitely grown up in a very like work ethic kind of family. So just having a work ethic and not giving up and just keep pushing because eventually something will happen. You can't beat the person that doesn't give up. So my dad's always definitely always said like you can't like if don't just talk about it, do it. If you're gonna talk about it, do it kind of deal. So you can definitely make it happen. Don't rely on every like other people doing stuff for you. If you want it to happen, you gotta make it happen.
I love that so much. So again, this is the Fans View podcast. So I have to ask you, what are you a fan of when you're not, behind the wheel of a car?
Actually, this year I got really into fantasy football.
Hey, all right.
I've never done it before, and I work out at Fit Stop Performance, so a lot of different like drivers work out there, and they did they did like a football league with people that go to Fitstop, but then also the pit crew people that train there. So, and I was not going to be last. I refused to be last. So I was studying, and I got way too into this. Like I had my team was so good. Like, oh my god, my team was dialed. But then my people got hurt. So then I was like, well, okay, what? I wasn't last. That's all I cared about.
Hey,
But
I hear that.
so definitely, and I tried snowboarding this year and was obsessed with that, but it's kind of expensive, so I haven't gone back. But that was really fun the one time I did it.
And dangerous. Just ask Chase.
No, yeah, I definitely ate it a few times pretty good.
So the last question that I usually love to ask is, at this stage of your life, obviously you're a very young woman, you're still young in your career, only 7 years in. What does the term success mean to you?
Yeah, I think I definitely, for me to be successful, I think it would be able to race full time, be able to do that for a living, and win races. I definitely don't want to just be someone that's like, oh, I race. I would be like, I win, I make a difference, I do this. So I definitely would like, even if I am racing full time, I expect myself to be up front running good. So that's definitely, and to consider myself successful, I would have to say being in a national series full time running good.
I love that. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Laci, where can people get a hold of you? Sponsors, fans, everybody. Where can they get a hold of you on social?
Yeah, I'm at Laci Ferno 67. My name's kind of spelled weird, so it's just LaciFerno, and then 67, which is the number I always pick for everything. So I'm on there on everything, and then my website's still just laciferno.com. And if there's like a sponsor or something, there's a contact page. There's a little contact submission area. Yeah, Laci Ferno 67 on literally everything. I made that my LinkedIn username. I don't know how, but I did that somehow. Instagram, Facebook, everything.
I love that. Well, prospective sponsors, make sure to get at this young woman. She's going to be killing it. Get in on the ground floor before she blows up, because the price is going to go up once she blows up, guys.
Thank you.
And Laci, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. This has been so much fun. I would love to have you back in a couple months. Once you got your schedule and everything figured out, it'd be great to have you back.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. This was so fun. I had so much fun. So thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Well, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, go check Laci out on all of her socials and at laciferno.com. Check out Rippin' for a Cure. And most importantly, you guys know the deal. Call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.